Okay, in this video we're going to go over C# data types and variables. This is not meant to be exhaustive. I don't want to overload you if you're just starting in macros. This is really just for a beginner who wants to get into Revit macros and begin to automate things without having to go through an entire course on C#. So this will be very basic, quick, and to the point. Go to the Manage tab inside of Revit and Macro Manager, and we have our Hello World example module right here. And what we're going to do is create a new module, and this one is going to be My Variables. And we'll go over a few different variables that you're going to use all the time. And again, this is not just limited to Revit. It is a part of C#. You can use them as much as you want. So right after the partial class, this document, I want you to do enter inside this curly brace. We're going to start a new method here, and it's going to be public void. And remember, it's void because it's not returning anything. It's not returning a value. So a function would return something back at the end when it's done running. This type of a method is not going to return anything. So sorry, I misspelled that. Public void. This will be variable example. And then open and close parentheses. Open a curly brace. We're going to start out with a string. So when you declare a variable, the first thing you need to do is tell it what type of variable it's going to be. Now with strings, I'm going to show you two ways of doing it. There's a string like this, which is the older type of string variable, and it's a non-nullable. If you know what that means, great. If you don't, you can look it up on C#.net Pearls. The brief example is this. I cannot say in an if statement if this string is null equals null because this type of sealed class does not have a nullable option. But there is another type that is nullable. I'm going to show you both because you're going to see both, and you might wonder, well, why did they use this string instead of that string? It probably has something to do with the conditional logic they're using. So we're going to call this my string 1, and this is going to equal, I'm going to populate that string by giving it just a word in quotes. So I'll put my name, Brandon, and then in that command or that line of code with a semicolon. Now I'm going to do a string. Now notice this is actually a sealed class system string, and this will be my string 2. So I have, again, the data type. I've got the name that I want to call the variable, and then I'm going to populate that variable. So this will be my last name, Zelnick. And I'll close that line of code. Next one we're going to do is an int, an integer, and notice there's going to be, you can do the same thing with this. You can use a nullable or a non-nullable. So if you see a different type of int and you're not sure, just look it up. Maybe look up the data type. You can Google it, go to many websites. MSDN has a lot of good references as well. So int, I'll call this my int equals 7, semicolon. I'm going to do a double. This will be my double equals, and I'll do 3.14159. We can do a boolean, so bool, or you can do, again, a boolean. I'm going to stick with the simplest one here, which is just a bool. This will be my bool. A bool is a true-false, so it's used for conditional logic in if statements, while statements. It's really just indicating if something is true or false, and you're going to see that a lot in objects and classes. For instance, in fabrication parts, one of the properties or the methods that you can access the property of whether or not an object is a straight piece or not. So, you know, you can get that fabrication part and then put a dot is straight and then open close parentheses with a semicolon, and it will return a bool. So it'll either be true or false, and that's what you'll get here. So we're going to say bool is true, semicolon. There are also dynamic variables in C#. You can use a var. I'll call this my var equals, and I can put whatever data type I want. So just to give you an example, if I was declaring a string, naming the string, and then into the string when I tried to populate it, I put a number, it would give me an error because I'm trying to put the wrong type of data into a very specific data variable. Same thing with an integer. If I declare an integer, I name the integer, and I try to put a string into the integer, it's going to give me an error or a warning. And a lot of times it's going to ask you, hey, did you mean to cast this? And what a cast is it basically takes one data type and converts it to another data type. And usually you do that by declaring another variable and saying, hey, I want to take the value of this integer and use it like a string. And you know, we'll actually do that when we're doing the task dialog box for this. So a var, or a variant, or a dynamic variable type is a variable that you can actually populate with anything. So if I wanted to type in true or false here, that would not give me an error. I can type in hello as a string, and that's not going to give me an error either. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and we're going to do another task dialog. I just hit tab to as a shortcut for that command. Show, that's highlighted, so I'm going to hit tab again. Open parentheses, and this will be my variables, comma, and then we're going to display these variables, but we're not going to use the variable value, we're going to use the variable name. So this name is going to be a reference to this variable. Whenever I have a list like this, one thing I like to do, and it's just for clarity in the code, I like to kind of do an enter and do each different variable on another line just for readability of the code. You don't have to. It's usually preference. Some people like to condense their code as much as possible. I know that in a lot of cases I've got people looking at the code that I'm writing, so I want to make it as easy as possible for them to use it, copy it, reuse it, modify it, improve it. So this is one thing that I usually do. So we'll do my string 1 equals, and then I'm going to use the plus symbol to concatenate the string, and then I'm going to put my variable, my string 1. And I'll do another plus, and then I want to create a new line, so I'm going to do a \n in quotations and another plus. You can use this \n in quotes, which is very, very common, or you could do an environment.newline. This is shorter, cleaner. I usually like to use this. I don't know if there's any benefit at all of using one above the other, so it's really up to you. Now, because this data type is a string already, I don't have to convert it to anything. I can just use the variable as it is. When we get to the numbers and some of these other things, I will have to use a decoration called toString, or method toString. So we'll do my, in quotes, sorry, my string 2 equals plus my string 2 plus, and then again we'll do my integer equals my int and plus, And again, I don't need to do anything special when I'm skipping lines here to let it know that it's continuing the code. It's looking at the white space as nothing, and it's going to continue automatically. We'll do my double. So my double, and a double is just a value that has a decimal point. I don't remember if I said that earlier or not. So like pi, the value of pi would be an example of a double. Then we'll do my bool. Equals plus my bool. Oops. And my var. Plus my var. And then I can close this out right here, end with a semicolon. Now remember I told you there's one thing I missed here, and I just noticed it. Again, we talked about the different variable types of string. I don't have to convert, but an integer I do need to convert. So I need to do a dot to string, open and close brackets, and I need to do that for any type of data that is not a string. Now, when I get down to the variant, oops, my var. When I get down to the var, even though that could be anything, I don't need to put that to string. And the reason is because I'm populating it with a string. It used to be looked down on a little bit to use variants unless you had a very good reason to do it. It seems like it's more common practice. I mean, computers are getting better. People aren't worried about storing, taking more space up in memory when they're writing code. And honestly, for what you're going to be doing with macros inside of C#, you're not writing an operating system or programming microprocessors. I really don't think using a var you're even going to notice it. And if you do, I would just say maybe look at doing a different type. I see I also have one other error up here. It must have went place space. Let's go ahead and you can't have a space in a method name, so example, variable example. Okay, that should be better. Very good. Alright, so with this right here, now I can save, build the solution. It builds successfully. Now I can run it. So go into my variables, and notice it reads out exactly what I had, my string, and even though I passed in the variable name, it returned the value of the variable, and going all the way down, even using my var. So just a real quick recap, you have strings, which are words and letters. A CHAR, or a character, would be a single letter. Strings are used pretty commonly now. I don't use a lot of chars in any of my code. Integers are whole numbers. Doubles are any variables with decimal points. A boolean is a true or false, and a variant can be used as a variable that can store any type of data that you want. It's dynamic, which is pretty nice. The one thing I will warn you about the vars as well as you get into coding is just be careful. It seems easier when you're writing the code, but it could make it very complicated down the road when you're trying to fix a bug and you're not sure where an error is coming from. You might have thought that a certain value or data type was being populated in the var, and it's not. So just pay attention to that. Make sure that if you are going to use vars, maybe put some notes or comments in your code so that you understand how that variable is behaving in your code. All right, good luck.